Hello, everyone, and welcome to NSS TV, the web series for the National Stationery Show. My name is Robert Allen. The National Stationery Show is North America's premier trade show for social stationery and related lifestyle products, with more than 800 exhibiting companies and 11,000 attending retailers. It has long been considered the venue where greeting card and invitation manufacturers launch their new products, and is also a leading source of industry-related education. My guest today is Sarah Schwartz, editor of Stationery Trends magazine. She's also going to be the moderator of one of the most popular seminars about trends taking place on Monday, May 21st at the show. Sarah, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
It's going to be such an exciting show, and we're glad you could join us today to give everyone a preview of what's to come. Why don't you tell us a little bit about Stationery Trends magazine and your relationship with the National Stationery Show?
Sure. Stationery Trends is a trade quarterly that we debuted in the spring of 2008. I'm the founding editor, and in creating it, I tried to push the boundaries of a trade magazine and establish one more in keeping with the shelter and fashion magazines that I read myself. Since we're in the design industry, I thought our readers would be on the same page and respond to a format that favored lots of gorgeous images and focused copy. I really had no idea how this would go over since it was such a huge departure, but we were very fortunate to have been embraced by the industry. We won a Gold Ozzie Award for Best Design, New B2B, and we haven't looked back since. Overall, I love trade shows and I love trend spotting. I regard trade shows as museums of popular culture, and I love finding the next big thing at them. National Stationery Show, however, holds a very special place in my heart. I have been going since 1998, and it's become one of my favorite, if most exhausting, times of the year. I've been going so long, a lot of the people I see each year have become dear friends. And during the show, there's a lot of catching up, both personally as well as professionally. With all the personal relationships, new friends, and great product to take in, the whole thing can be rather overwhelming. And that's not even mentioning all the great parties, dinners, and other networking events that take place after the show's doors close. I always feel like I get about a month's worth of work done in 4 days. And I have a very good, if not, if rather rough idea of what I'm going to be covering in the magazine for at least the remainder of the year, if not further out.
Well, it's pretty intense. Now, this year, you're going to be moderating a session as part of the whole educational lineup. Um, Explain to our viewers the value of education at an event that's the caliber of the National Stationery Show.
Sure. Well, to start off, I think there's a certain power as an attendee to just be in a room full of people from all over the country and even the world who are in the same business. That in and of itself is a very unique opportunity, and in a sense, it's really empowering. Regardless of the topic of the seminar, I think just hearing what kinds of questions others ask can be important to learning about what kind of directions others are taking their businesses into. And I know I have made a lot of connections as a speaker that I never would have found otherwise. Um, the educational component is invaluable to most businesses. GLM really makes a point to find experts at the top of their respective fields to share their knowledge with attendees. And a seminar makes a nice counterpoint to the visual intensity of the show floor. You leave refreshed and inspired and really ready to take on the world.
Yeah, and you certainly need that. When you talk about visual intensity, it's for sure at the National Stationery Show. Now, the session that you're moderating is entitled "Top Bloggers Talk Stationery Trends." Um, I think it's going to be a fabulous program. Tell us about the panelists that are participating and how these particular bloggers were chosen to be part of this program.
Sure. Well, I was really thrilled that the show management decided to look at paper bloggers since overall they've become a really, really interesting, thriving component driving our industry. I feel that they're nurturing the younger generation of stationery lovers, which of course is essential to our collective survival. All of our panelists take their own approach and really add something special. And in assembling the panel, I really tried to look for four distinctive voices. Sue Ann Song of Simple Song is a letterpresser and a retailer and an exhibitor, as well as a top blogger. And so I think she's going to really have some special insights to share since she really has an understanding of the different elements that comprise the industry. Noel Gary of Oh So Beautiful has a amazing blog. She really has her finger firmly on the pulse of the luxe sort of fantasy world of stationery. She shows some of the most beautiful examples that are currently being created for people out there. Uh, Kristen McGee of Paper Crave and Invitation Crush has taken her passion for stationery, and she's actually formed two really design driven blogs. Invitation Crush looks at specific invitations and breaks it down by event. And Paper Crave is sort of more, to me, seems like more springs more from just a love of the entire industry and creating different stationery products, be it wrapping paper or notebooks. And then finally, Lindsay Wells of the Stationery Place. I think her blog seems to me to really bridge the gap of what an on the street consumer is looking for. And then she sort of marries that to industry info and profiles very well.
Well, it sounds like a great lineup, and I know this question is almost difficult to answer when you have all of these creatives together in one place. But what do you think that attendees will come away with from this particular session?
Well, I hope a few things. I know myself, speaking for myself, I have to confess that with the demands of running a magazine, I personally am not able to spend as much time on reading blogs that I should. I suspect a lot of attendees have the same quandary. Running a business is very demanding.
Sure.
And a lot of them have been in the business for so long that since keeping up with blogs has not always been a part of their business, it's hard to integrate. And I think bloggers really have a sense, again, of what the younger generation is looking for in stationery, and as well as what's missing from physical brick and mortars. And I hope that each attendee gets a good sense of that during the session, as well as a firm handle on pertinent trends driving the industry. The show tends to be an amazing booth after amazing booth after amazing booth. So it's a good idea to have a handle on important trends so that a retailer doesn't get distracted and buy a whole bunch of great merchandise that doesn't really work together or tell a story.
Right, and not be just too impulsive when you
Right.
see all this great stuff. It's really kind of hard to resist.
Right,
And
exactly. And then, and you end up with a lot of product that might not necessarily mesh. And I think so much of retail today is about telling a story, making a statement, being very cohesive, not trying to be everything to everyone.
yeah, that's great advice. So now the National Stationery Show is this wonderland of beauty. What companies are you looking forward to see at the show?
Well, that's a tough one because really every year is different. So that's a little tough. But honestly speaking, I love the big companies, the William Arthur and the Cranes. I never miss checking out Crane's windows. But I also love the small ones that are just starting with a tiny line of a few dozen designs that I'm not familiar with. The energy of these upstarts is unparalleled and is so inspiring to me. However, each exhibitor really brings something very special to the table for their distinct audience. It's always a thrill for me to fall in love with a line that I've never seen before, just as it's a thrill to catch up with an engaging line that I haven't seen in a year.
Yeah, well, speaking of that, as an editor, and you walk the show, you know, what does it take to catch your eye? Is there anything that, someone should know about how they can get into the pages of a magazine like yours?
Well, that's a tough one, and I think every editor has their own criteria. But I think for me, the best companies out there do not look like anybody else, and so a fabulous line needs to have a really distinctive personality. It has been said that there's nothing new under the sun, and I think that's most likely true. But to take old ideas or existing ideas into new directions always catches my eye. And then, too, as a former publisher, as a publisher at another publication told me, it's not so much what you are saying as how you are saying it. What does your booth look like? How is your product displayed? Is the booth well lit? Is it too crowded with product? Is the merchandising clever? Are you taking a couple risks? All these things come into play. And then too, for me, this always sort of drives me. There's also the psychological effect of a crowded booth. You tend to think, wow, something really exciting
What's
is
going
going
on
on.
here?
And it usually is. However, over time, I think I've learned that the crowds tend to travel in packs. And so a great booth can, the best booth in the world is going to experience some quiet time only to be deluged 5 minutes later.
Right. And when it rains, it pours, they say, like, why can't they just spread it out a little bit?
Right.
They're all there at
Right,
once.
right, and I'm sure the exhibitors feel that way because it's hard to please everyone when everybody is wanting to write an order.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Now, no one thinks about when they attend a trade show that, as an attendee, there's a strategy,
Mhm.
to this, to making it something that is not only enjoyable to attend, but effective for your business. And I think certainly for first time attendees as well as repeat attendees, that strategy is essential. So, what would be your best advice especially for a first time attendee at the National Stationery Show?
I think there are as many plans for doing the show as there are attendees. Uh, some walk the whole thing and then come back and order. I know the management recommends that you walk the show twice, starting from a different place each time. Um, if I had a store and had never been to the show, I would want to do some research beforehand. And even if I'd been there several times, I think it's worth doing some research beforehand. I think it's a good idea to visit the National Stationery Show website, and you go to View Exhibiting Companies under the Show tab, and you can bring them all up, and then you can visit websites and think about a little bit about what appeals to you, and realizing that seeing everything in person is definitely going to be different. But you can create a walking list, which would be a great guide to work from. Although, once you are walking the show, I don't think you should do it with tunnel vision. You never know what booth that didn't make your list is going to leap out at you. And just wear comfortable shoes, drink lots of water, and bring lots of business cards, and always be prepared for the unexpected, and just keep rolling with a big smile. That's
Big
all I.
smile. That's important. Big smile. Big smile attracts people that want to, to want to talk to you. So that
Exactly,
that that
exactly,
helps. Well, it's
exactly.
it really great advice. I'm personally looking forward to your session that you're going to be leading. And just to let everyone know, the name of the session is Top Bloggers Talk Stationary Trends. It's happening starting at 2 o'clock, from 2 to 3 on May the 21st. At the National Stationery Show. So I encourage everyone, if you haven't signed up for it, to make sure that you do. Sarah, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate your insight. It's invaluable, and I'm sure there's going to be some great things coming out of that session.
Thank you for having me.
So we've been talking to Sarah Schwartz, who is the editor of Stationery Trends magazine, going to be leading one of the panels coming up at the National Stationery Show. You need to be at the National Stationery Show. There's no two ways about it. So head on over to their website. We've got links right here on the page. Taking place May 20th to the 23rd at the Javits Center in New York City. We hope to see you all there. I know you can look out for Sarah when you get her, and she'll be running around the floor, taking all those copious notes.
Right. It's
Thank you.
say hi and see
It,
me.
it is. Thank you very much for joining us at NSS TV, the web series for the National Stationery Show. I'm Robert Allen. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you at the show.